Hi, I'm Caitlin Dean. I'm the chairperson for a charity called Pregnancy Sickness Support, and I write a blog about hyperemesis gravidarum, and I've written a book and things like that. So I met my husband through a friend that I did my nurse training with, and we faffed about for quite a while and eventually got it together and became a couple. Then we moved, once we'd finished our university degrees, we moved to Cornwall and got married, and it was then that we started trying for a baby, and of course it never occurred to us that pregnancy would be anything other than an absolute joy and an exciting time of life where we would be, growing a new life and things like that. And pregnancy was something that I always looked forward to and I always imagined would be just a magical experience, really. I looked forward to having a bump that people would notice, and I looked forward to a bit of morning sickness because it was going to be a sign that the baby was growing and developing well. Once I did get pregnant with our first child, Alfie, having already had a miscarriage some months previously, it took us quite a long time to conceive with Alfie. And so the first morning that I had morning sickness we were really excited. We thought, oh wow, this is great, like yay, I'm being sick. It's a sign that the pregnancy's good and healthy and developing and hopefully going to stick. But within a couple of days I hadn't stopped being sick, and I was being sick sort of 20 to 30 times a day, and that was when we sort of thought, hang on a minute, this is really horrendous, and started seeking help from our doctors. By week 8 I was admitted to hospital, very dehydrated, and really the whole thing was turning into a total nightmare. So the baby, I went into labour and I had a beautiful home birth, absolutely fine and no problem at all. Out he came, and literally as soon as he was out, the nausea just lifted off me and the sickness just went. I was sick all the way through the labour, and as soon as he came out it just lifted. Like I'd been wearing a 70-kilo rucksack for 9 months and someone just lifted it off my shoulders. Amazing. I was euphoric for weeks. I've since discovered not everyone has that elation. Unfortunately, some women, it takes longer for the nausea to recover. But on the whole, but for me, I was really lucky in that it just literally lifted, and so I was able to enjoy that instant relief. And when you've suffered something for 9 months constantly, and then it just goes in an instant, it's incredible. It was just amazing. To choose to go through a third pregnancy was one of the toughest things that we'd gone through in our marriage, because I really wanted a third child. Rob wasn't too fussed about having a third child, but he didn't want me to be sick for 9 months and be a single dad to 2 children for 9 months. Whereas I felt like it's just 9 months, although 9 months is a really long time to be sick constantly every day. So eventually we came to the agreement that we would have the third child, so I got my way. But it was on the condition that we had a much more robust plan in place beforehand, that we had a doctor who was going to support a treatment plan, that we had childcare in place before the pregnancy, that would mean that Rob could go out to work and wouldn't be a stay-at-home single dad during the pregnancy. So we had all these kind of plans in place, and I found a doctor who I developed a preemptive care plan with, and we arranged very good treatment, and that preemptive treatment did mean that my pregnancy was much less significant. I was still housebound, I was still nauseous 24/7, I wasn't that sick. I only threw up maybe 50 times through the pregnancy, whereas in the first 2 pregnancies it was about 1,000 times each pregnancy. So it really reduced the overall severity and made the whole thing more manageable. Plus I had support. I had support through Facebook from women that I'd met on there who had also suffered. So I'd never met them in person, but I'd met them online. And that peer support was just amazing, really. And I'd got in touch with the charity, so and I was getting involved with that, and I was redeveloping their logo and their website. And that again put me in touch with people who understood the condition and understood what I was going through, and made me feel like I wasn't going mad and that I wasn't just weak. And that made a huge difference, and that then really was the birth of the peer support network that we have today through the charity. So those women that supported me through my pregnancy, and I supported them through pregnancies, they're still on our volunteer team, most of them, and we've grown. So that started off as a few people who, if we came across someone on Facebook or someone got in touch with the charity who was suffering, we would put them in touch with each other, and support online through groups and things like that. And that's now grown into a really formal network of about 160 volunteers who people contact the charity either through the website or through the helpline. And we can match them geographically with someone in their area who's been through it, and provide text support or email and things like that. And we moved away from Facebook for online support because it's very unmanageable, and there's a sense of ownership within Facebook groups, and you need to administrate it better so that it's a safe environment, and you're not getting bad advice from people who think they have some cure. So we have a really safe support network now, and that makes such a difference to the women suffering with this condition, because the isolation is such a profound part of the condition. I'm really honoured to be able to raise awareness about this condition. Through my blog and my charity work, a lot of women within the hyperemesis community look to me to be sort of like a spokesperson for the condition, and I'm so proud to do that for them, and to speak for so many women who I know are traumatised by this condition, and their families have been limited by it, and they've lost babies to it, they've lost friends, and they've lost marriages and things like that. And so to be able to speak for them and to let them know that there is someone out there fighting for their rights and fighting for them, and trying to improve things for them and for their daughters and for my daughter. I have a daughter, and she's got a much elevated risk of suffering hyperemesis now, and so to be able to tell my story and raise awareness like that is just brilliant, really. It's satisfying what we're achieving as well. I mean, the fact that you guys got in touch with me is because of the research that we did that hit the headlines, and that's just amazing. That's just brilliant that people want to hear the story about hyperemesis, and to know that other women are going to watch this and feel less alone, and know that there's someone doing something, and that there's a book available and a charity there to support them is brilliant.